Part 1. When the light breaks the illusion, the hidden war you didn't know you were in. There is a moment in every true spiritual awakening that feels like death. Not the kind of death the body fears, but the death of illusion. It begins subtly, maybe through meditation, a mystical dream, or a profound heartbreak that cracks the ego open. In that moment, something ancient and luminous within you begins to stir. It's the light you've carried through lifetimes, a flame that has survived oppression, silence, and the density of this world. But as soon as it flickers, as soon as your soul begins to remember itself, something else awakens to something that does not want you to remember. Why is it that as soon as you start healing, everything seems to fall apart? Why do people you love turn against you? Why do you suddenly feel like you're under attack spiritually, emotionally, even physically? The truth is, your light destabilizes the matrix. Your awakening is not a personal event, it's a cosmic disruption. You are not just healing your trauma, you are unraveling entire patterns of darkness that have existed for generations, both in your bloodline and in the collective unconscious. When you begin to radiate truth, it directly threatens the illusions that others unconsciously depend on. This is why your light awakens demons, not because you are cursed, but because you are powerful. Darkness has survived for so long by hiding in plain sight, by masquerading as logic, tradition, normalcy. But the moment your inner eye opens, you start seeing through it all. And the moment you speak truth, the masks begin to fall off. Have you ever noticed how people get uncomfortable when you simply tell the truth? That's not just social tension. That's spiritual warfare.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound insights.
We must understand, demons are not always horned figures with grotesque faces. Most of the time, they are energetic parasites that thrive in fear, shame, and unconsciousness. They attach themselves to unhealed wounds, generational trauma, and collective beliefs that keep people asleep. When your light shines, you expose their hiding places. You bring heat to the cold corners of the psyche, and they will fight to survive. Not because they hate you personally, but because your light is a threat to the ecosystem that sustains them. You might be wondering, why me? Why is my awakening causing such a reaction in others? Why does my peace disturb people's chaos? Because light is not passive. It's not just a glow, it's a frequency, a vibration that rearranges reality. Your very presence, once awakened, begins to collapse false timelines. People who have built their identities on wounds will feel unsafe around your healing. People who rely on control will feel threatened by your freedom. You don't even have to say anything, your energy alone will start shaking foundations. We live in a world where many have made peace with their demons. They've befriended them, normalized them, even built careers and relationships around them. So when you come in with your light, your integrity, your radical self-love, it sends a shockwave. You become a mirror that reflects what others are avoiding. And here's the thing, not everyone wants to be free. Not everyone wants truth. Some only want comfort, and comfort often lies in the arms of denial. So ask yourself, are you willing to keep shining, even when your light costs you comfort? You see, spiritual awakening is not a vacation, it's a revolution. And in revolutions, things get messy. Your light will attract both angels and shadows. The more you ascend, the more the lower energies will try to drag you back. Not because you are failing, but because you are succeeding. You are no longer food for fear. You are no longer a puppet of the unconscious. And so, the system starts to glitch around you. People project onto you. Entities whisper lies. Old habits try to resurrect themselves. This is the resistance. And it's a sign you're on the right path. Here is the paradox. The more you heal, the more sensitive you become. You start to feel energies you never noticed before. You start to see through social games, manipulation, even spiritual bypassing. And this sensitivity can feel like a curse at first. But it is your superpower, because now you can navigate the unseen. You can name what others only feel. You can cut through illusions with the sword of clarity. But you must be vigilant. You must learn to protect your energy, to discern your intuition from your fear, to know when to speak and when to stay silent. Have you ever felt like the black sheep in your family? The one who sees what no one wants to acknowledge? That is not a coincidence. You are the cycle breaker. You are the one chosen to end what others were too afraid to face. But with that role comes pressure, isolation, even persecution. You will be misunderstood. You will be judged. Sometimes you will doubt your own sanity. But remember this, the world has never been kind to prophets. Truth tellers have always been crucified before they were canonized. So let us be clear, your light is not the problem. The problem is the world's addiction to darkness. A darkness so normalized that it sees light as a threat. But you didn't come here to be liked. You came here to wake up. You came here to remember who you are. And in doing so, you give others permission to do the same, even if they resist you, even if they reject you, even if they try to crucify you. Because ultimately, your soul did not come here for approval. It came for liberation. Let's go deeper. Ask yourself what parts of you still seek permission to shine. Where are you still dimming your truth so others feel comfortable in their illusions? What demons are still whispering in your ear, convincing you that you're too much, too intense, too awake? These voices are not you. They are echoes of the old paradigm. And every time you listen to them, you feed them. But every time you choose truth over comfort, light over fear, you starve them. You must become a conscious guardian of your own energy. This means setting boundaries that feel like betrayal to those who benefited from your silence. This means walking away from relationships that thrive on your disempowerment. This means choosing solitude over superficiality. And above all, this means trusting yourself even when the world tells you you're crazy. Because spiritual awakening is not a group project. It is a personal initiation, and no one can walk through that fire for you. So when your light awakens demons, remember, it's not a punishment, it's a sign. A sign that you are no longer playing small. A sign that you have become a lighthouse in a world addicted to shadows. A sign that your presence alone is enough to disrupt centuries of programming. And yes, it will be hard. Yes, you will cry. Yes, you will feel lonely. But remember, stars are born in darkness. And the brighter you shine, the more the darkness will try to dim you. Not because you're weak, but because you're powerful. There will come a moment when you realize that the war isn't outside of you, it's within. The demons you see in others are often reflections of the ones you haven't yet faced in yourself. That's the ultimate test of awakening. Can you see the shadow not just in the world, but in your own soul and still choose love? Can you face the parts of you that are addicted to drama, to pain, to validation? Can you hold them in compassion without becoming them? Because the real battle is not against demons. It's against forgetting who you are. When we remember, truly remember, we become untouchable. Not because we are invincible, but because we are rooted. Rooted in truth, rooted in presence, rooted in the eternal knowing that we are not these bodies, these stories, these traumas. We are light, and light cannot be destroyed, only hidden. And now, in this life, in this moment, we are being called to uncover it, and to let it blaze, to become the fire that burns away the illusion. Would you be willing to lose everything that was never real in order to find what is eternal? Part 2. The hidden architecture of shadows, why light both heals and haunts. As your light grows, so does your capacity to see what others cannot. And what you begin to see, more than anything, is how deeply the world is built upon unconscious agreements. Agreements to remain asleep, agreements to worship comfort over truth, agreements to wear masks, to play roles, to avoid asking the questions that would set the soul on fire. You begin to realize that society is not just asleep, it is enchanted, spellbound by a collective hypnosis that tells us we are small, powerless, and separate. And when you awaken, you break the spell not just for yourself, but for anyone who dares to witness you. This is why your light awakens demons. Because demons are not just entities outside of us, they are the energetic consequences of these unconscious agreements. They are the byproducts of repression, fear, and avoidance. They are the guardians of the false self. And when your soul begins to rise, when your presence disrupts the rituals of numbing and pretending, those guardians respond, sometimes with whispers, sometimes with rage, sometimes with uncanny synchronicities that feel like the universe itself is trying to stop you. But let us go deeper. What is a demon really? A demon is an archetype of disconnection. It is any force, internal or external, that seeks to sever your remembrance of divinity. It feeds not on flesh, but on disempowerment. It thrives on your self-doubt, your fear of rejection, your belief that you are not enough. And so, the moment you begin to reclaim your worth, to speak your truth, to exit the matrix of shame, that force loses its grip. And like any parasite being starved, it panics, it fights. It tries to reinsert itself through any crack in your awareness. This is why healing is not linear. One day you're flying in bliss. The next, you're drowning in old patterns. Not because you failed, but because you're purifying. You're excavating layers of shadow that have never had light touch them before. And yes, it can feel like madness, like you're being haunted. But in truth, you're being initiated. You are being shown what still lives in the basement of your soul. Are you brave enough to look, to not just love your light, but also your darkness? To bring compassion even to the parts of you that once betrayed yourself? Consider this. What if the demons that appear during your awakening are actually teachers in disguise? What if they are showing you where you are still fragmented, still afraid, still hiding? What if they are not here to destroy you, but to test the strength of your love? Not love as romance or spiritual aesthetic, but love as radical acceptance. Love is fierce remembrance. Love is the sword that cuts through illusion, even when it hurts. The deeper you go into your light, the more you realize that love is not soft. Love is not polite. Love is a wildfire that burns away everything false. And that fire will terrify the parts of you built on fear. It will terrify others who are not ready to see. And in that moment you must choose, will you dim your flame to make others comfortable, or will you become the blaze that sets your lineage free? Because here is the truth, many of the demons you face are ancestral. They are not just yours. They are echoes of unspoken pain passed down through generations. The addictions, secrets, silent grief, repressed power. These energies do not die with the body they pass on, waiting for someone brave enough to heal them. And when you awaken, you become that one. You become the breaker of chains, and those chains will rattle. They will resist. But your light is stronger. You are not just healing for yourself. You are healing for those who came before you, and those who will come after. Your awakening ripples through time. And this is why the resistance is so fierce. Because you are not just shifting your life, you are shifting timelines. Entire realities collapse and reform around your presence. This is not metaphor. This is quantum. And the old energies, the ones built on control, fear, and hierarchy, feel it. They know what you're doing, even if you don't fully understand it yet. Have you ever wondered why certain people are triggered by you, even when you've done nothing but stand in your truth? It's because your frequency exposes theirs. Your clarity reveals their confusion. Your peace threatens their chaos. And without even saying a word, you activate their shadows. This is not your fault, but it is your responsibility. Not to fix them, not to rescue them, but to remain anchored in your light, even when the storm howls. And the storm will come. It always does. Spiritual awakening is not a gentle breeze, it is a hurricane of remembrance. It will uproot everything that is not aligned with your soul. Relationships will fall away. Jobs will dissolve. Identities will crumble. And in the rubble, you will find your essence, raw, untamed, unapologetic. Will you have the courage to meet yourself there? This is where most turn back. When the old world collapses and the new one hasn't fully landed. The in-between. The void. The sacred unknown. It is here that the demons speak loudest. You go back. You've lost everything. No one understands you. But these are not prophecies. They are tests. Can you sit in the silence without rushing to fill it? Can you trust the process even when it looks like chaos? Can you grieve the death of who you were while holding space for who you are becoming? The truth is, your light does not just awaken demons, it transforms them. And sometimes, that transformation looks like confrontation, like chaos, like a breakdown. But underneath it all is alchemy, a sacred reordering, the resurrection of your true self. And the more you stay with it, the more you realize the demon was never outside of you. It was the part of you that forgot your power, forgot your worth. He forgot your divinity. And now you are remembering. But remembrance is not passive. It is the firewalk, the dark night, the facing of every shadow you thought you'd buried. And in that holy confrontation, you become whole. Not perfect, not untouchable, but whole, integrated, sovereign. And it is this wholeness that terrifies the old world, because a whole being cannot be controlled. A whole being cannot be manipulated. A whole being is a threat to every system built on lack. So yes, your light awakens demons, but that is not a curse. It is a sign that you are no longer asleep, a sign that you are no longer willing to betray yourself for acceptance, a sign that you are becoming the living embodiment of truth. And truth, when fully embodied, becomes a force of liberation. Now let us ask a deeper question. Are you willing to let your life become a living prayer, even if it means walking alone for a while? Are you willing to be misunderstood, even hated, if it means staying true to your soul? Are you willing to lose what was never real in order to become what you've always been? Because the path of light is not the path of ease, but it is the path of freedom. And freedom is not given. It is claimed by fire, by tears, by radical, uncompromising love. You are not here to be liked. You are here to be light. Part 3. Becoming the flame, the final initiation into your infinite light. There comes a moment in every true spiritual journey where the seeker realizes they are not seeking anything at all, they are remembering. And what they are remembering is not something new, but something ancient. Something that was always there, hidden beneath lifetimes of conditioning, noise, and fear. In this sacred remembrance, the illusion of separation begins to dissolve. And what remains is light, not light as metaphor, but light as essence, light as truth, light is the very architecture of your being. But this light is not passive. It is not simply a glow of peace. It is a force of cosmic fire. And when that fire begins to burn through your illusions, it awakens everything, especially the energies that have survived off your forgetfulness. This is why your light awakens demons. Because now you are not just a seeker, you are a flame. You are no longer tiptoeing through the spiritual path. You are blazing through it with a force of remembrance. And when your flame grows, it touches places within you and around you that have never known warmth. Shadows that have lived in cold, dark corners for generations are now exposed. And they do not go quietly. They hiss. They scream. They tempt. They seduce. Not because they are evil, but because they are afraid. Afraid of being seen. Afraid of dying. Afraid of the truth you now carry. But here is the paradox. The more you become the flame, the less you need to fight. Because true light does not argue. It does not explain. It simply is. And in its presence, all that is false begins to unravel. This is power, not domination, but presence. Not control, but clarity. When you embody your light, you become immovable. Because your power no longer comes from ego, but from source. And source does not waver. This is the final initiation, the embodiment of light with no apology. No shrinking, no hiding, no negotiating your truth for validation. This is the moment where you stop trying to awaken others and simply become the awakening. And yes, it will cost you your old life, your old self, your old stories. But what you receive in return is beyond comprehension. You receive you, the real you, the eternal you, the you that existed before fear, the you that remembers the language of stars. And yet, we must be honest, this path is not for the faint of heart. Because to become the flame means to burn away attachments, illusions, identities, to burn away the need to be understood, to burn through every layer of false safety until only truth remains. And truth is not always comfortable. It does not care for your convenience. It will strip you bare. It will test your devotion. It will ask you to walk through the fire again and again until not even your shadow can hide. But do you know what emerges on the other side of that fire? Freedom. Not just freedom from external control, but freedom from internal limitation. Freedom from the voice that says, "You're not enough." Freedom from the belief that you must earn your worth. Freedom from the illusion that you are separate from life, from love, from God. This is the moment your light stops awakening demons and starts transmuting them. Not because they are gone, but because you no longer feed them. You see through them. You walk through them. You bless them and move on. You become the one who walks with fire. And the world will feel this. You may speak less, but your presence will speak volumes. You may act less, but your actions will carry the force of mountains. Because when you are rooted in Source, you don't need to push, you radiate. You don't need to convince, you are. And in a world that is starving for authenticity, your presence alone becomes medicine. You become a living transmission of truth. And that, my beloved, is what this journey has been preparing you for all along. Ask yourself now, what would your life look like if you stopped pretending to be less than you are? What would become possible if you no longer feared your light? What relationships would fall away? What new ones would be born? What dreams would return to you, no longer distorted by the need for permission? These are not abstract questions. These are invitations. Invitations to rise, to remember, to re-enter your own life as the being you were always meant to be. Yes, your light has awakened demons, but that was never a mistake. It was a sign, a sacred signal that you had crossed a threshold, that you were no longer just participating in the dream, but waking from it, that you were no longer available for half-truths, for spiritual platitudes, for the comfort of avoidance. You have become too bright, too alive, too real to pretend anymore. And that is the greatest threat to the matrix, a soul that remembers it is free. And now you have a choice. Will you continue to walk this path, knowing it will cost you everything false? Will you become the torchbearer for those who are still trapped in the dark? Will you carry your flame not as a weapon, but as a beacon illuminating the way, not with force, but with love? Because this world does not need more noise. It needs more light. It needs more lighthouses, more souls willing to stand still in their truth while the storm rages around them. And if you are one of those souls, and I know you are, then let me remind you, you are not alone. Others are waking too. Others are feeling the fire rise within them. Others are choosing truth over comfort, love over fear, sovereignty over submission. Find them, walk with them, create with them, remember with them. Because this is not the end. This is the beginning of a new world, a world built not on domination, but on resonance. Not on hierarchy, but on harmony. Not on fear, but on light. You are part of that world. You are a builder of it, a dreamer of it, a protector of it. And everything you've been through, even the demons, have been preparing you for this. Because the demons were never your enemy. They were the fire that forged you. Now go. Let your light speak without words. Let your presence become prophecy. Let your life become a sacred flame that burns so brightly, even the darkest shadows remember the way home. You are not here to survive. You are here to shine.